So, huge welcome today to Naomi Sirio. And I've chatted to Naomi previously, if you check back on my previous videos. And Naomi is a trauma specialist and she works holistically. And we thought today was an absolutely perfect day to come together. In fact, I got really strong guidance this morning, and Naomi got really strong guidance to come together and talk about what's happening at the moment for people and how we can get through the challenges that people are facing, because so many people are feeling pressurized at the moment with everything that's going on. So huge welcome, Naomi. So lovely to chat with you again.
Thanks, Medyhne. Yeah, it's lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you. So I guess what's your general feeling about the energies at the moment that people are experiencing? And then perhaps I'd love to share what I'm feeling as well, because it really feels to me like a very intense time at the minute. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think intense is a really good word. Yeah, I guess I have my moments, where I kind of can connect with the collective energy of some suffering, which we hold collectively. And I think over the years I have really consciously chosen to vibrate where I can along a parallel with the earth energy and the goodness and the wholeness of us as human beings. So I kind of hold both sets of energies. I feel like over the last week or so, it's really ramped up. My sense of if I feel the energy in my body, it's much more heightened. So there's almost a sense of urgency inside of me, and that's not that can be a little off-putting at times, but for the most part, it feels really positive and uplifting. And I also feel like we've got a lot of work to do. So I kind of feel like this energy of urgency that I feel is my own sense of urgency moving forward around reconnection. And as I mentioned to you before we started recording, reconciliation. I feel like we've got a lot of healing work to do. But I really feel, and we had a big momentous occasion yesterday in Australia, in Canberra. And I think that was a culmination of a lot of energy, a lot of sense of urgency from the collective, really. So that's kind of a bit of what I'm feeling.
So just for the people that don't know what that was in Canberra yesterday, could you just give a little bit of information on that for the people that aren't unaware? Yeah.
Yes. So in Canberra yesterday, there was what's been referred to as a convoy to Canberra, which was really a meeting of freedom fighters, I would say. So people who are collectively gathering around our government institutions to institute change. And I think it was really pushed forward and rallied by what was happening in Canada. And I watched the live stream yesterday because I couldn't get there myself. And I was moved to tears on a number of occasions, which is not unusual for me. I tend to do that. But it was just beautiful, and I shared it with my loved ones that I knew would feel similarly. So it was just, I was so proud of not just Australia, but just our human spirit yesterday. I just felt really inspired. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And they were estimating, just in case anyone was watching the mainstream news and hearing the numbers there, they were estimating at least 200,000 people. Yeah, just getting it out there.
A lot of people.
A lot of people, and more coming over the next few days, more and more all the time from right around Australia. Yes, incredibly inspiring, and I really encourage people to be there as well. I can't as well be there right at the minute. Unfortunately, I'd like to be, but I can't. But for anyone that can get there at the minute, really, more power to you, and our prayers are with you, because I think it'll counts a lot, depending how many people are there. It will be a bigger voice for this whole ability to transcend and recreate a new paradigm in Australia.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hearing everything that you're saying, and I totally agree with the energies at the minute. What I'm feeling as well is that there is, for some people, there's in this process of ascension or evolving as a soul, there's a process of a breaking down happening, which can feel like a nervous breakdown for some people. It can feel like a crumbling of everything they've known, so that there's actually no foundation anymore for what they're standing on. And it can be quite a scary feeling for some people, so if people are feeling this, like a real sense of everything they've known is just going and there's nothing there, and it's quite a, can bring up a lot of fear for people, just know that this is part of the process of evolving as a soul too. Often we have these moments where everything just dissolves, and then you have to rebuild, sometimes from scratch. And so I think there's a lot of people having these challenges and difficulties at the moment. It's like a really intense feeling, because at the same time that individually people are feeling this, of course, collectively, the same thing's happening. All our systems are breaking down and crumbling and dissolving, because they're no longer in alignment with the energies that humanity are holding collectively, and also the planet, Goddess Gaia, our beautiful Earth. She's not holding those energies. She's ascending. And so we have to also go through that process with her, if our soul chooses in free will to take that pathway. And so it's an extremely quite confronting and even intimidating energy for some people, where they sort of feel like they're out of control. And it's like a pressure that they're feeling. So I just want to say, if you're feeling that out there, this is quite common at the minute. There's other people feeling this, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you going through this process, but you just really got to nurture yourself through this process and be really kind to yourself, and know that there's a lot of people going through this at the same time as well. And we're going to talk a bit later about potential protocols or things that you can do to help yourself through this. But just know out there, and I'm getting a lot of energy as I'm speaking, which resonates as a divine truth, that there are things you can do to really support yourself through this process. You don't have to go through it alone. For example, just a simple thing is Naomi and I both offer sessions with people to help support them at this time. There's also, so many resources out there and things that you can do. So just reach out and get the support that you need if you're feeling this process is very challenging for you.
Yeah, I agree. And I found what's really interesting, and it's distracted me a little bit. I have a candle which I'm going to have to blow out because it is going crazy right now. It's really trying to get my attention, and crackling, and it never crackles like that. So I just had to
Well, what do you think the message is in that candle?
That's really interesting, Medyhne, because I always have a candle in my practice. So we were talking about that in my office, because I have a face-to-face office space. I always have a candle, but regardless, whenever we're welcoming in different energies, I always light a candle because it signifies the light in the space.
Beautiful.
And it's challenged. Isn't that interesting? It feels challenged right now.
Wow.
And I can feel that as I say those words. And yesterday, prior to my watching the live stream of what was happening in Canberra, I really got a strong sense of messaging around the negative energy that flows through people, which does not, something along the lines of, that people are not evil, but at times they become the conduit for that energy.
My gosh. Oh, I've got the perfect sharing for that. You wouldn't believe this. I had a spirit come through into my house, and because the TV went blaring on really loud and the lights went on downstairs and nobody turned it on. And I was sharing with one of my spiritual workers that I work with, and she said it was somebody I knew, and I knew straight away who it was, someone that had been close in my circle and who'd passed recently. And so it was so interesting. And she said, oh, do you want to channel the message? And I said, oh, no, you go ahead. So she was able to channel the message for me. I could do it myself, but it's nice when you get someone else to, do it for you. And she was saying how this spirit that came through was actually wanting to say sorry, because this is the interesting thing, they were causing division around me and everyone I knew because they felt insecure. And so they were creating division by, talking to different people and dividing them. And so this is the exact thing that you're talking about, which is we want to heal this feeling that somehow we need to divide ourselves or be divided between one another, heal that and feel that sense of coming together in unity and supporting one another at all times, even if we have different opinions and things like that. So this was the perfect and interestingly, the perfect energy to come through at this time for what you're talking about. So this spirit wanted me to forgive them, basically, and was really sorry. And of course I did. I gave complete forgiveness, and I also asked the Lords of Karma if they could have a complete karmic release from anything that they had with me because of that. And the other thing was, my gosh, this is so interesting. They actually came in to undo karma from a previous generation where they had, through the Inquisition, they had caused my death. I was like a spiritual witch type person, trying to bring in your positive energies for the planet and help people. And I was put to death by this person. So they came in to undo that karma. And then they were similarly doing a similar thing again, repeating, and because unconsciously or whatever, the same patterns were being recreated. So this is what we're all healing at the moment, which is the ability to rise above these imperfections that we can have, and insecurities and these shadow aspects of self, and rise above and step into grace and step into love and step into unity and those higher minded aspects of humanity and spirit, and that is everything that we're dealing with at the moment. Truthers in the truther community that are divided against one another, that we see, people that are protesting that maybe have different opinions to the police, but they're really saying the importance of, in these gatherings in Canberra, to be in peace and to be in love and to hold that higher energy throughout that as well. So it's interesting. And you were talking about reconciliation, Naomi, so love to hear more about that.
Yeah, as you were speaking before also, when I think about a lot of the work I do with trauma and, some really deeply embedded complex trauma and from this lifetime, but really does it brings up a whole range of intergenerational trauma for the individual person, but also for us collectively. And so I think about trauma and the result of trauma. And when you were speaking, I was reflecting on shame. So shame is one of the things that often comes up in relation to trauma. And what I really feel... I've been doing a bit of that lately too, the last couple of days. Lots of sneezing. Which is, my way of expelling energy. So with
thinking of expelling energy.
So my thoughts around reconciliation moving forward, how we're going to have a huge process with reconciliation on many levels, but how we're also going to have to find that space of reconciling within ourselves, because because we're not perfect, and as human beings we can be prone to influence, and then influence can shift. We can have an awakening or some self-reflection that gives us one of those moments of awareness where we shift. And if I think about some of the shift that's happening within community at the moment, we're going to have to process the shame related to that as well, with some of the decisions we've made to ostracize others, to discriminate, to spew hatred. So those types of things, we're really going to have to do that healing process within ourselves as well as collectively.
On a micro level, that can be also illustrated by, you've got people that people would really look up to and maybe put on a pedestal, like, for example, Neil Young, who wrote all this, was a great songwriter, had some great music. I didn't like his voice, but he had some great songs. And now, he's really showing his true colours in lots of ways with his levels of judgment on things, and he's sort of revealing himself. So people that perhaps we had really thought of as people that we would really listen to and admire, they're starting to show other aspects that we don't resonate with. And then we can blame ourselves by saying, oh, well, I used to think this person was fabulous and look at them now. But it's not about judging yourself or criticizing yourself for that. It's about honoring yourself for having the ability to grow and to evolve and to change. Any sort of framework of thinking that is stagnant and unable to change or shift is relatively unhealthy at this point. And we need to acknowledge within ourselves that we're going to be going through huge shifts and huge changes, and honouring ourselves through that process, and not blaming ourselves for doing things differently in the past.
Absolutely, because otherwise we get caught in this spiral of shame, and shame is toxic, and shame keeps us stuck, and shame makes us really unwell, so physically unwell.
Absolutely.
And shame is what has been a big problem in our through cultures. And if we think about the First Nations people, and shame that stops us from recognizing the impact of our privilege, for instance. So speaking as a white woman, wanting to shut myself off, and I don't do this because I've learned not to, but wanting to shut myself off because it feels so painful when I realize what has occurred, and how the First Nations people have been vilified and abused over years, and how in some way I've contributed to that. Unconsciously, or even through generations have contributed to that. And what shame does is makes me pretend it's not happening because it feels too painful.
A wonderful tool that you can use to work through that is the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And just saying that over and over, to the First Nations people. If you feel that you can in any way contribute to it, just releases karma, and it allows a healing to take place, which is incredibly strong. And the other thing I want to say, when that spirit came through that I was talking about earlier, I had been sending them in their lifetime spiritual energy and healing, and they said to me, and this nearly brought me to tears. In fact, I think it did bring me to tears. But they said that it was due to some of the work that I did with them that they were able to actually evolve as a soul in their incarnation because of their energy work that was done. And I'm not saying this to give myself a pat on the back, but I'm saying it to show the profundity and the importance of doing energy work. When you go in and do that inner work and the energy work, you have no idea what a huge shift this can create. We have I have a soul healing group for Australia that meets together every Tuesday, and we did quite a bit of work on Parliament House, shifting the energy and healing it. And then after that, I'm not saying it was the sole reason, but I'm sure it probably contributed. There was a picture of this great big bolt of lightning at the top of Parliament House. I'll even put it in the video. And we did a lot of work on that place. And, who knows that that bolt of lightning that came through from the higher realms didn't come in and work with what we'd done to shift the energy, you know. So the power of doing the energy work and the inner work cannot be underestimated.
No, I agree. Absolutely. And I think that even in my own professional and personal practice, you know, that I've been through the theory and the training that I need in order to do the work that I do. But what I've morphed over many, many years, you know, I've been doing this for about 15 years, specifically with trauma, is to start to help my clients understand that energetically there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Yeah,
yes.
A lot of what we're taught, particularly through universities and things like that, is a lot of intellectual, cognitive type theory based.
Yes.
But most of the work with my clients is through their own internal processing, you know, their body awareness and their awareness of something outside of cognition, and more, you know, processed around
feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that work is way more profound than just being in the head and doing the cerebral side of things.
Yeah,
and it's good to have knowledge and information and awareness, but going in and doing the other work and having tools and techniques to be able to do that as well. You know, we've done like 19 sessions now with the Soul Healing Group, which is huge. Wow. 19 weeks of work, and so I'm really happy and very grateful to all the people that have been involved. We've got about 100 people in that group, but they don't all meet every week, but they're on the email list, and we have a huge group every week that gather. You know, when you have two energies that gather together, it's a huge amplification. So you can imagine when you've got 20 or more, it's incredible. Yeah. So I think that what people also want to know about at the moment, Naomi, is ways that they can be able to work through this really full-on time that we're all experiencing. So, you know, I today wanted to have some downtime. So I put on, just as an example, I put on a YouTube video in the background called Whole Body Regeneration. I work with some crystals. I have a beautiful Tektite crystal which absorbs negative energy, and I sort of laid down. And then after that, I did I have a quantum Healy frequency device. I did that as well. So, you know, really putting the time and effort into a lot of, you know, self-nurturing at the moment. You know, I am working with a lot of people, but I have to do relatively equivalent amounts of work also to hold my energy through this time. You know, there's people reporting as well that they feel that the effects of the 5G are impacting on them at the minute. You know, I've had different people saying that because they have recently turned that up. So, you know, we need to have these more and more tools in our toolkit just to be able to navigate everything that's happening. You know, some of the protocols that I have over the years found helpful are Azia, you know, Healy quantum frequency healing device, the nanosoma, which I've got a box here, nanosoma. I'm a distributor for Root, which actually puts light into your cells. So if anyone wants to know about that, please contact me. You know, you've got a trial now that you can do with a quantum free med bed. So it's a quantum device. So you can use it from a distance, you know, anywhere in the world. And it's an 8-hour free trial on this quantum free med bed. There's things like, you know, the importance of alkalizing your body, hydrating your body at the minute. It's incredibly important because we're shifting so much. Getting sleep. So many people reporting difficulties and challenges with sleeping as we go through these shifts. And I'm sure that, you know, maybe some of the 5G is contributing to lack of sleep for some people and things like that as well, which I had a girlfriend say that yesterday. She felt that was happening. So she's upping the ante with all her protocols as well. So, you know, what are some of the things that you recommend to people at the moment to be able to really get through this time successfully, as smoothly as possible?
Yeah, as smoothly as possible. And I think if we can aim, and this is what I say generally to clients or anyone that I work with and remind myself often, is that, a large part of my aim is for me to personally take less time to ground myself and stabilize myself after I become wobbly. Yeah. So I'm not implying
as impacted. You're not as impacted.
Yeah, not as impacted, so not as impacted, much more able, more quickly to right myself and steady myself, and reflect, so that I can then use that reflection to take the next step forward. And it's not a thought out process. It almost becomes this natural flow that we can get ourselves into. And so there are some things that we can start to put into place, some practical things as well that can help to create that shift. Because it's really, really important. And what I'm finding with a lot of my clients that have generally been able to kind of like stay reasonably stable despite, their trauma, have really been slipping into a space where they're struggling to find their way out. Yeah, so lots of really
sometimes triggering addictions, I've noticed.
Yes.
People's old addictions are coming back. Because they're sort of still on some level there as support systems for them in place when they get challenged. So then they come back to them because they're still there on some level. They haven't been been able to separate themselves fully from those support systems that they've had during addictions.
Or create new support systems so that they don't need to lean on the coping strategies, which are addiction often. Yeah,
exactly. I also have been guided to do a big detox at the minute. So that feels good because it helps me feel lighter and lighter through this process. Yeah. And also when you're working on yourself in that way, in a constructive way, you feel like you're making progress. There's a feeling like, I am moving forward in a positive way with this. I'm not stuck or I'm not going backwards, I'm moving forward. So that can be really beneficial, like on many levels, psychologically and as well as physically and everything.
Yeah, because I think we need to look really holistically at what being well means. And, so detoxing, if that feels appropriate. I went through cleansing over the Christmas New Year break, and I'm continuing to monitor that. So being really mindful of my intake of water and, quality water and what kind of food I'm eating, and moving every day where I can, getting into the ocean as frequently as I can. So there are many things that we can do on a practical level. I think, that what's really interesting is sleep has been impacted. I notice sleep has been very challenging for me, and I've never had an issue with sleep. I'm
the same. I've really always been a brilliant sleeper, like a log. Go to sleep, boom, straight to sleep. But lately, no.
No, and when I do wake, I can fall asleep again, so I'm not awake for very long, but I often just acknowledge something like, oh, okay, we're doing that now. I don't know what that is. But I know that something's happening, and so I go, okay, we're doing that now, and then I roll over and go back to sleep.
Well, I was reading this really interesting thing that was saying that, not to put negative out there, but I'm just trying to give information as well so people can be aware of what could be happening, that they are actually upping their 5G between 2 and 4 in the morning, because that's the sleep cycle that is most important to humanity to feel wellness and well-being. And so they are playing with that a little bit at the minute, so that it disrupts our our holistic wellness. So that's really interesting.
Well, I had it was probably a couple of months ago now, which is not that long ago, really. So this year, at 2:02 in the morning, I have 3 Labradoodles, and they're
adorable. I love them.
They're just gorgeous. But they don't carry on through the evening at all. There's generally not an issue. But there was a lot. They were growling. So the 3 of them were growling, and almost every dog that I could hear in the neighbourhood was barking. and it was 2:02 in the morning, which is very unusual. You know, you might hear one dog barking because they've been spooked by something.
Fireworks or something. That's right.
They were all in unison. Mine were growling and all of them were barking. So
now, this is exactly what I'm saying. You know, this is potentially, technology stuff going on. Absolutely. Because it's the same with animals recognizing some people, sort of they're having a strange reaction to some people that have had this, because that these people are different in some way, and so animals intuitively, instinctively having a reaction to that as well.
And I really do feel like animals, dogs, I'm not as aware of other animals as far as pet type animals, but I know that dogs have the capacity to be able to transmute those kind of issues as well, you know, that they can draw attention to something in the body, they can bring your attention to that something in the body, and they can support you to start to heal that something in your body.
Absolutely. And I will mention too that I've been given a gift, a universal gift to work with, a healing gift, where I can help work with neutralizing the effects of this too. So if people are wanting to work with me with that, or they have members of family things, please contact me, and you know, I can do some work on that as well. That's something that's just come to me in the last month. So
I think it's really important for all of us to understand that we are powerful healing beings.
Yes.
And with the right energy and the right support, like your support, that we can heal. And I've worked with clients who have healed cancers that they've been told that their lifespan is very limited, and because of their intention, their work on their belief system, their energetic work with me, they've actually gone on to heal themselves.
100%. Yeah, I had the same as well. You know, it's all energy.
Absolutely, it is.
And it's how we work with energy. And I also like to remember that the divine energies, the angelic energies and the divine energies are way higher and more powerful and profound and way beyond all the other nefarious energies. Those energies have way more strength and power than anything else. So when you tap into those higher frequencies, they override. It's like a computer program that can override the other computer programs, because they are much, much more important energies, significant energies. I can't really think of the right word. I find sometimes the English language is limited in what I'm trying to say. I can't get the right word for what I'm trying to say, but maybe I should sing it. Sometimes music expresses things so much better. But it's like when we tap into those energies, and you know, that beautiful energy of grace, a really, really high frequency energy. You know, when we're able to achieve forgiveness for whatever, you know, whatever is comes to our direction. I mean, there's a lot of things that are seeming to be happening for people at the minute that aren't flowing. Like they're coming out against, you know, bumps and obstacles and and you're having to find forgiveness for things a lot more than perhaps you would have in the past when we weren't going through this. And you know, all these things and these triggers that we're meeting are things that are opportunities for us to grow and to evolve and to tap into new skills and gifts.
Absolutely. It's the point of healing, you know, that's if that's what that is. You know, there's the resistance that we have often, and the stuckness is because we're resisting the change, and change is often change is scary for a lot of people, but change is where the opportunity for expansion is. And so we need to welcome change, and it's a bit scary at times, because if we resist it, that's where we create the stuckness that creates illness and keeps us stuck as well. So if we're feeling stuck, often it's because there's a part of us that isn't ready to proceed.
Yes.
Ready to move.
Yes, resistance.
I don't know where that is. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So we resist.
And that's understandable too. The other thing I wanted to say was that when you are going through a really challenging time, sometimes at the other side of that challenging time, you're wanting to integrate and go into a bit of a hermit space and sort of just be by yourself and process, and, you know, to allow yourself that as well at the moment, if that's what you need. I think that for some people, they're feeling that. And, you know, just even for the people that are awakening and recognizing that, you know, there are a very small percentage of elite beings out there that want to kill us all, you know. I'll just say it like it is. I won't mince words.
Yep.
You know, once you really actually integrate that and realize what that means, you know, that does take a lot of processing for people that are thinking that they were in a world that was benevolent, that was looking after them and caring for them.
Yeah. And, you know, I think my introduction to the darkness, the real darkness,
yes,
in the world has been over the last 15 years with my clients and what they have introduced to me. So in a way, I feel like I've had a soft entry, you know, that I've been prepared. I've been prepared for what is actually happening that many people aren't aware of, and will be completely horrified when, I'm going to say when, I was going to put if in there, but when the awareness is more broadly broadcast. Yeah.
I guess that's the word starting with D. I don't know if we can say that on the channel. D is something, but we won't say the word just in case. Yeah. So the other thing with that is that I think people need to really tune into their own levels of discernment about what they're able to deal with. So, you know, if you tap into a video of, you know, some sort of SRA thing that's happening with children, you know, you need to be mindful. Can you actually deal with this and handle what you're going to be watching? If you have any questions about whether you're able to deal with it, then just don't watch it. I mean, why put yourself through that? Because it can create, you know, psychotic, you know, in some people, psychotic episodes or you know, complete breakdowns of their, you know, mental state and emotional state and everything, because it's just too much to deal with. So just pace yourself with that information if that's what you're going through in perhaps you're going through an awakening and you're wanting to learn more, but just be aware that some of the things that you watch, you can never unwatch. And I know for me, I'm incredibly empathic and insensitive. And so there's a certain level I can be aware of, but I don't need to go beyond that. And I do know already, I can imagine a lot of the deep, dark stuff that's going on. I already know a lot, but I don't need to watch it. I don't need to go to the depths and the darkness of it all, because I need to hold a high frequency for what I'm doing, and I need to be functional, and, you know, and you know, and be able to, you know, I like to try to be a bit of a way shower in some ways, and I know that therefore I have to have quite strong boundaries in what I'm energy and information that I take in.
Yeah. I think it's a really important point because we can traumatize ourselves by taking on information that we're not prepared for. Exactly. And the human psyche can only take on so much in one go.
Exactly.
Before it shuts down, which is, you know, where we get mental health concerns and disorders and dissociation and all sorts of. And the other thing that can happen is really, if we think about that, how we can be traumatized by the depth of the material, it can also then bring, it's almost as though, like the universe says, and this is just my reflection, the universe says, oh, here's an opportunity to heal some trauma because this person's tapping into it. Yeah. So I'm overwhelmed and I'm feeling traumatized. So the universe says, here's an opportunity to heal some trauma.
Yep.
And the opportunity also arises to heal previous generations' trauma and the previous generation's trauma. And so all of a sudden, you're not only managing or healing this traumatic episode.
Yes.
It can become amplified because it's like this little window of opportunity for you to heal the collective trauma, even though you're not asking for that. It's like the universe looks for opportunities where it can start to, it's like it bubbles underneath, you know, that we need to heal this. Sometimes
it's quantum too, isn't it? Because like if you heal something within your family, for example, then all of a sudden all the family members that surround you, and even previous, generations, are also healed in the moment that you heal yourself, because you're all quantumly connected.
Yes.
And that's incredible. Wow. So every time you do some form of healing, you're healing everybody around you.
That reminds me of probably about, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 10 years ago or something. I remember having a moment where I felt I was doing a lot of my own healing, and there was a lot of chaotic stuff happening in my life, lots of endings. And I remember having a moment with a mentor and saying, you know what, I'm done with this collective healing. I'm done with being the one that brings this to the surface and has to do the work. I want somebody else to do the work for a moment. So I had a bit of a tantrum, but I got over it pretty.
Understandably. We all get that.
Because it just felt it's a privilege to do it, but I just needed a rest. I felt like it was really amplified at some point, and I just wanted it to stop. And I didn't really want it to stop, but in this human existence, it felt like it was too much for me to be able to manage in that moment. Yeah, that's
right. So did you step back and have some time out after that?
Yeah, so I just asked for it to not be so. So I asked the universe and my angels.
Right. Exactly. Oh, perfect point. Yeah. Yes. Because you can just say, oh, look, I just ask for, what I say is a cocoon or a chamber of healing for manageable integration. For what I'm integrating, so it's manageable.
And we need to do that, because I realized that it was too much for me at that point.
Yes.
And so I needed, the floodgates to just close a little bit, just for a period of time, so that I could integrate and then open the floodgates again.
Do you think perhaps there's some people out there that feel like, oh my God, we've got to heal everything now, and I've got to do it all, and they sort of feel like they're carrying the load of everything, and then they're just sort of wearing themselves out because they're trying to heal everything and help everyone. I think there could be potentially some people out there feeling that way. So it's like, don't worry, we're all working on this together. Don't wear yourself out. Don't feel like you're doing this exclusively, and just be mindful of your own, self-care through this. Do you think some people are feeling that way?
I have moments where I feel that way, that.
Yeah, me too.
It's the nature of the healing arts, that at times it feels as though I need to be doing more, energetically, because I can't physically be in Canberra, for instance.
Yes.
That's just one example. But I have this visual process, and as you were speaking there, it really became figural for me, of visualizing myself holding other hands of others that are doing the same. And in that moment, I can feel the spread of the work and the spread of the energy. I don't do it all myself. Yeah,
that's a great idea, and that's why the platform that I'm setting up is called Many Hands to Make Light Work. And there's actually, which you're going to be involved in as well. But you, as a spiritual counselor there, but it's like. There's pictures there of hands, about people holding.
I had a visual of holding your hand as you were speaking.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So perhaps if we get everyone out there who's listening at the moment, just to visualize for a minute, holding the hands of everyone else in the world who is trying to up level humanity and really let go and sort of heal all the dysfunction and everything. Just imagine yourself holding hands with all the other healers, light workers, all the other aware people, that the truth is, the people that know what's going on. Imagine holding hands with everyone around the world. I like to say, and we magnify this, 1,000-fold. We magnify this healing 1,000,000-fold. We magnify this unity, this connection 1,000,000-fold. So everyone feels it in their heart center. Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Lovely. Wow. So what are there any other special sharings that you'd like to give the audience today that could be beneficial? Is there any other perhaps insight or something that you'd like to share about what's going on now?
Yeah, I think because my sense that of the energy having a sense of urgency to it, which is amplified, just for those that are watching this platform to be aware that like a tidal wave comes in, we can get swept away in it.
Yeah.
And so we need to prepare ourselves. And some of the things that I do to prepare myself is every morning. It might not be the very first thing I do every morning, but at some point during the morning, I have some quiet space and I do something meaningful energetically for me. And that might be different depending on whom you are. Like I know you love to use your voice, Medyhne, for instance. Other people might, find other ways to tap into.
My drum, see my space drum behind?
Oh,
It's amazing. It's like raindrops. It's really
beautiful. So whatever that is for me, I every day, unless I'm not at home, I light a candle, and then wherever I am, I'm lighting a candle anyway. I have incense as well, so they are two of the first things that I do every day. And the other thing I do is every single day I journal. And I often do my tarot as well, which helps me to tap into the collective energy so that I know where I need to distill my energy for the day. And it doesn't need to take a lot of time, but I find it so balancing and recalibrating. The other thing is for a long time, and I think I mentioned this on the last chat we had, I don't subject myself to mainstream information.
No.
I don't.
No way, no.
Because I feel like it's a tsunami of energy that it doesn't align with me, and I feel very wobbly. So just those couple of very practical things every morning, I think are so important, and they're not things that you don't have to be particularly psychic, or you don't have to be able to, as we did that visual of holding the hands, I felt like I could really feel the energy of that. And don't worry if you can't, just visualize it.
Exactly. The intention is everything.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
Right. Also clearing your own home space energetically. You can use smudge sticks, or you might have a beautiful clearing spray, or you've got lavender essential oil in a spray, or whatever you use to do that. There's a beautiful visualization where you can visualize a white sheet on all four corners of the house with an angel on each corner, and just ask the angel to lift up that sheet and clear the energy of your space, taking away anything that no longer serves you for your highest good. That visualization is really beautiful as well. So there's so many wonderful things that you can do now to really help yourself and help the collective, and just know that we're all working on this together. If you found this video helpful, please smash the like button, because that helps with the algorithms. And please also feel welcome to leave a comment below. I'm going to leave Naomi's details below as well. If anyone wants to contact her or contact me, I've got my details below as well. And I just think that everyone needs to cut everyone else a bit of slack at the moment, because the reactions that we're getting from people at the moment are probably a little different to what we would have got 2 or 3 years ago if a similar situation occurred with people. They're much more defensive, reactive, and things like that. So you've just got to try to be very, very patient and tolerant and understanding and compassionate with people at the moment, and know that we don't know exactly what other people have gone through, because we haven't walked in their shoes. We don't know their past lives, their incarnations, their karmic history or anything. We don't have that overview. So people just need us to cut them some slack at the minute, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And please, if you can, see a lot of the responses, the reactive responses from people coming from a place of fear, and that has been projected onto them. And so if we can respond with compassion and love and empathy, it doesn't mean you don't assert boundaries, and you certainly don't tolerate abuse from people, but you can love people from a distance, and you can remove yourself for a period and send them love. And protect yourself at the same time, understanding that trauma creates situations where we don't respond in a way that we might if we were coming from a less fearful state.
Exactly. If we lived in an ideal world, people would be responding very differently,
Yes.
you know, because they wouldn't be having all these other external influences that were making them, you know, bringing up their fear. But also people are transmuting so much fear at the moment anyway, because that's part of the process of evolution. We're stepping more and more into love, divine unconditional love, and out of fear, and transmuting all the shadow aspects. So, you know, that's a real process for all of us. And yeah, we just need to be kind to one another.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree, and hold each other's hands.
Yeah, beautiful. Great way to end it. Well, thank you so much, Naomi. Beautiful to chat with you. And I hope this is really helpful to people that are listening. And please share as well if you found this helpful, because I think people need that energetic support and nurturing and positivity at the minute in this process.
Yeah. Thanks, Medyhne.
Pleasure. Bye.